How we doing today, guys? It's Jesse with the Common Man, Corpus Christi, your CBD Guy. And I had some stuff I want to talk to you guys about today. Obviously, everybody knows what happened last week. If any of you see this, you probably saw my rant from last week about it. And what happened last week did set us back. Set us back a long time. At the same time, I appreciate the fact that it happened because it gave the people that already hated us an excuse to come out in public and say it. So we are no longer getting lip service from the other side. We are no longer getting lip service from the corporate media or the intellectual elites or any of the major corporations, the tech companies. We are no longer getting lip service from them. What happened last week was an excuse for them to do what they've been itching to do forever: silence us and get rid of us. So I can understand when political pundits come out and are mad about what happened and the fact that it did happen. And I understand why they're angry. And maybe it's the lack of leadership, like some of them have talked about, that we have. Or if it's a lack of the fact that we have all just been getting pissed on for the last we can go back a long ways, but at least the last 5 years. We've been getting peed on the entire time, and they're trying to tell us it's been raining. And so when I saw what happened last week, it got me excited. And I don't apologize for that. You know, we've got an entire swath of conservatives and libertarians and just anybody that's even close to center right, and in some cases even center left, on our side now, that is getting beat down and is waiting for somebody to do something, waiting for somebody to stand up and fix this, drag us back off the precipice, so that way we don't end up over the cliff, or if we're already over the cliff, at least somebody deploy a damn parachute so those of us that want to escape can. So that being said, what happened last week was a mistake. The idiots that did it should be held responsible for it. And I understand emotions and getting excited about those kind of things. I got excited about it. And then I got chastised by every conservative, quote unquote, father figure out there. And I say that because it seems like whether it was Glenn Beck or whether it was Dennis Prager, their speeches and their conversations when they were talking directly to us, those of us in this movement, those of us, those common sense, common man kind of people, it sounded like your dad was yelling at you. And he's fair, and he's completely right. Ain't nothing about it right. Or nothing about what happened was right. Nothing about what they said was wrong. They were completely right. We did become impatient children. And I understand why. We're frustrated. We're angry. I get it. Trust me, I do. And I have a lot of my friends that are itching for a civil war. They just want to start shooting. And I don't get it. Well, I do get it. But that's the easy solution. And that's not something that, this isn't a pick up your arms and go to war kind of time. Okay? As long as we have the Second Amendment, we will always have civil war as an insurance policy in our back pocket. Okay? But that's an insurance policy we don't ever want to have to cash. We have to do everything else beforehand. Sorry about that, guys. I still work a regular job, too, so I do this as much as I can and when I can. Um, so yeah, civil war will always be an option. Okay, as long as they don't come after the Second Amendment, as long as we still have our guns, civil war is always an option. Okay, but that is not the first option. There's about 15 other things we could do before that. There's a million other things. I can think of at least a few. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. A path moving forward. We're going to look over Steve Deace's list from yesterday. I think it's a really good list. I think it's a really good comprehensive list. To any of you that have known me, to some of my friends, some of this stuff is already things I've been talking about over the last few months. There's one of the guys I know down here that's very actively involved in the Texas State Republican Party. I'm not going to name any names, but before the election happened, you know, the day before or I think it was the week before or something like that, I'd messaged him and I told him, I said, it doesn't matter which way this election goes, whether Trump won or Trump lost, it didn't matter because the Republican Party had to change. I will not vote for John Cornyn or any one of the rest of those damn rhinos ever again. Normally, I vote Libertarian. I almost always am a conscientious objector when it comes to a lot of this kind of stuff. I almost always vote third party when there's an option. This was the first time I didn't do it. And I think, knowing that, I think there was a lot of us that did that. A lot of us sacrificed our conscience and our own ideals and our own morals, and we decided to, because we saw the enemy coming over the hill. All right, we know what the other side wants to do. They've proven that over the last week. You know, Trump being banned from Twitter, Parler being pulled off of Amazon servers. You know, so we knew all of this was coming. Last week just gave them an excuse to accelerate the process. So civil war is the last option. Okay, that's the very last option. Until they come for our guns, that's always going to be our last option, and that will always be an option we have in our back pocket. So don't be jumping to all of that. So on to what we're going to do next. So like I said, I was talking to one of the guys, and I told him, I said, the Republican Party has to change. Whether or not we ever win another election again. Okay? The Republican Party has to change, and we as the Republican voters have to change, okay? So that means before we go looking anywhere else, we have to check ourselves, come inside, look at, and figure out what we're going to do next, okay? So that being said, we're going to go over Steve's list, and I'm going to give some of my thoughts on each one of these bullet points and try to regurgitate some of the stuff he said, because I know if I try to get you guys to watch this video, half y'all won't ever watch, and some of y'all will watch this video just because I'm the one talking about it and won't watch other videos I sent you. So we're going to go over this list. Let me switch over here. There we go. All right, tactics. These are our steps forward, okay? This is the stuff we as individuals, because we aren't attorney generals, we aren't people of great power, wealth, and any influence. That's the other word I was looking for. Great power, wealth, or influence. We're just the common men. And no, I'm not going to get PC and say women. Get over it. Men. Whole population. Anyway, human race. Man. So tactics. Check your motivations. All right? I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. I just talked about the fact that I choked down in the last election and I voted for people. I voted against my conscience. Okay? I voted for people I didn't believe in because I knew what was coming, what was on the other side of this. And I knew if we didn't at least put some kind of stopgap into that it would go unchecked and it would run us all over like it's honestly been doing over the last few days with all of this internet stuff. So we knew this was, so we knew this was coming. It just happened a little faster. And yes, we gained a bunch of seats in the House. So was it a complete waste to vote straight Republican ticket? Well, I guess we'll see what happens over the next few years. So back to the list. Check our motivations, okay? No more voting just because, no more voting for a guy with an R next to his name just because you want to stop the other guys. Okay? We have to check our motivations inside. If we are going to be a moral and righteous people, which is what our founders told us was required in order for our Constitution to function as a useful government system, we have to be conscious and moral people. And I violated my own conscience, and there was probably a lot of the rest of y'all that violated your consciences too when we choked down and swallowed our pride and voted for some of those damn rhinos. Well, guess what? That can't happen anymore. If they don't give us candidates we like, then we don't vote for them. It's as simple as that. But we have to check our own motivations first. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're going through, whatever you're going forward with, look inside of yourself before you do anything. Okay? Are you a moral and righteous person? Because it's going to take moral and righteous people to restore this republic. So check yourself first. Look at yourself. Take an assessment of the world around you. Are you a good person? Are you somebody you would trust with the powers of the federal government? Because if you're not, then how do you ever be able to expect to stand in judgment or decide fairly on who we are going to put in power? And if there are things inside of us that are lacking, let's take care of it. Let's work on it. We don't have to be perfect, but we need to all at least be a work in progress towards a good goal of being moral and righteous and religious people. All right, refuse to be silent. Well, you can see I'm complying with that one already. As you're watching this from wherever you are, I refuse to be silent. And the rest of you should be refuse to be silent as well. I was raised by my grandparents, and they are of what they call the silent generation. The people between World War II and the hippies. And I used to hear from that generation all the time, you don't talk about religion and politics in polite company. Well, guess what? Not talking about religion and politics in polite company is exactly what got us here. So stop being quiet because you're afraid somebody at work's not going to like you, or that you're going to get unfriended on Facebook, or that you're going to get blocked, or you're going to get tweeted. And I'll tell you right now, if you're sitting in one of those damn classes, one of those critical race theory classes, all of this BS stuff that they're coming out, and you don't stand up and say anything or walk out of that training the second you hear what they're starting to do, then guess what? You're part of that silent majority that got us here. Stop being silent. There are other jobs. There are other towns. Hell, there are other states. I don't care if they run you out of the entire town. They run any of us out of the entire town. Stand up. Stop being quiet. The PC culture, the silent majority, the silent generation, not talking about politics and religion in polite company is exactly what got us here. Because they trained you to sit down and shut up and just do what you have to do to get along. Just go along to get along. Well, now you see where going along to get us along has gotten us. Sorry, that one's a slightly touchy subject for me. The silent majority pisses me off. Follow God, not man. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you're an agnostic. I always thought an absolute atheist was probably one of the most ignorant people on the face of the planet, because you believe that you are smarter than everything else in the universe and that you know absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no God whatsoever. How narcissistic is that? That you've lived your entire life, your whole, 20, 25, 30, 40, I don't care, 50, 60 years on this planet, and you think you know so much and that you can discount everything else that everyone's ever said as just dreams and lunacy. Religious experiences happen, okay? Whether you eat a bunch of mushrooms, go on a DMT trip, or have a conversion to Christ, religious experiences happen. They're documented. Okay? So anybody out there saying that they're an atheist and they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no God, you're full of shit, you're delusional, and you're lying to yourself because you don't know that. All right? So that being said, find something beyond you. Okay? Alcoholics do it with AA all the time. And yes, I consider myself a Christian, and I advocate for Christianity. Study the Bible. Okay? Everybody wants to question and everybody wants to get tripped up on the particulars of God and their Christian religion and the churches and this church did that and this and that. Have you ever read the damn book? Just sit down and read it. Read just a little bit of it. You can download a free app on your phone. I'm sure there's a million places in this country that'll give you a free Bible if you just send them an email, shoot them a text message. Read the damn book. Okay? Is it the best? Is it the most perfect system or situation or guiding light in the world? No, but nothing is. Our Constitution's not perfect. That's why we had an amendment clause. Okay? The Bible is God's, in my belief, is God's divinely inspired word interpreted through man. Okay? So are some of the particulars not dead on? Maybe. But does it matter? Not really, because the particulars don't matter. Everybody gets so caught up in the details about the Bible, nobody ever wants to talk about the overarching story. Okay? You've got an Old Testament that teaches you how to live your life, or how society should function. Okay? You've got an Old Testament that teaches you how society should function. Those are the rules for what society should aspire to and how to be. And guess what? Give it a try. It works really well. That's what we did in the beginning. Okay? Those are the ideals we are meant to strive for. That's what our society should be based on. Okay? The New Testament, the gospel about Christ. Okay? All the gospels about Jesus Christ. Okay? That's the guiding principles for how we're supposed to interact with each other. Love thy neighbor. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science. You know, the Old Testament has a lot of knowledge and wisdom in it that we can learn from if you'll just read it and use it. It's the same thing with the New Testament. The New Testament teaches you great things about how you should interact with people, love each other, take care of each other. If somebody's poor, take care of them. If somebody's destitute, take care of them. If they're sick, help heal them. Okay? Those are rules, those are moralities that anybody can get by. You know, stop worrying about the bigger esoteric crap. That's what coffee shops and late night drinking binges are for. Is so we can sit around and talk about the esoteric stuff and discuss with each other and then come to some conclusions. That's not something you have to worry about right now. Pick you up a damn Bible and start reading it, okay? It ain't gonna hurt you. It ain't gonna kill you. The damn book's been around for well over 2,000 years, especially when you get into the Old Testament. You're talking, you know, we don't even know, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 years. Those stories probably date back even farther than that if we could trace how we communicated things verbally, okay? So just read the damn book. Pick it up. Take a look at it. I'm not asking you to believe in God. I'm not asking you to accept Christ as your Savior, although I do highly recommend it. I'm just asking you to pick up the book and read it. Look at it. Our entire Western civilization, our entire country was founded on the Judeo-Christian values that are put in that book. We can't just throw it out. You know, there's something to it. Study it, read it. Even if you want to read it as a version of fiction, have at it. Go for it. You know, I can't prove to you that it's not. I believe, I have faith, but I can't prove to you that it's not. But I'm not asking you to read it to change your mind about God. I'm asking you to read it so you understand where we came from, where the Western civilization came from, and why those rules in that Old Testament exist. You got to understand them before you're just going to go throwing them away and saying they don't matter anymore. And the New Testament, how can you argue with that? Love your neighbor, help the sick, take care of the poor. If every one of us in this world, whether we believed in Christ as your Savior or not, if you just emulated his behavior, how much better would the world be? How much better? It'd be miraculous. It'd be amazing. Follow God, not man. All right? Pick up the damn book. Just read it. Take a look at it. All right? It's the book that created the Western culture. It's what gave you the world around you. Pick it up. Just read the damn thing. Understand it. I'm not asking you to believe. I'm just asking you to understand where we came from, where our society came from. Our society came from that book. Try picking it up and taking a look at it so maybe you can understand a little better. And then take those ideals to heart and put them as your shining star, as your North Star. Let those be your guiding light. You know, there's a lot of good knowledge in there this whole world is missing out on for a lot of different reasons, whether we've been chastised, whether we've been exiled, whatever. That book has lasted this long and created this many civilizations and done this many good things for a reason. Yeah, there's been some bad stuff done in the name of it, but there's also been there's been some way worse stuff done in the name of government. So before you go dismissing Christianity and worshiping government, maybe you should try taking an idea or taking a little lesson from the book that gave you your Western civilization before you make government your religion. All right, let's move on to the next one. The answer is us. If you couldn't tell by the rest of the things on this list and the things I've been saying and the things you've been listening to, and the reason why we're doing the common man is because no one's coming to save us. Okay? The cavalry isn't coming. We are the cavalry. All right? But we have to be righteous cavalry in order to be able to fix any of this. So the answer is us. You, me, everybody around you, your neighbors, your wife, your children. God, don't forget your kids. Raise them up to be righteous and moral and religious people with good foundations and understand where we came from and understand why we do the things we do. Make them understand why the First Amendment exists. Make them understand why the Second Amendment exists. Make sure they know history. God, make sure we all know history. If you're not read up on what happened in World War II and how Hitler came to power, how Stalin came to power, how Mao came to power, how all of them came to power. If you don't understand that, if you don't know that history inside of yourself, then none of us can move forward, because that's the only way we're going to know how to not to repeat the mistakes of the past. We're the only ones fixing this. No savior is coming. Trump isn't going to save us. Ted Cruz isn't going to save us. None of the rest of these politicians are going to save any of us. The only people who are going to fix this is us. So yeah, the answer is us. This one. I touched on this one a little bit earlier. And a lot of people need to stay in the Republican Party, okay? The answer is us. Stay in the Republican Party. Look, I don't like this one either. All right, I don't. I don't want to have, everybody always asks me, people ask me where I stand and where I fall on things. And what it comes down to is I always say I'm a libertarian, because that's the ideology that I align myself with the most. I want extremely limited, next to no government that does very little things and leaves me the hell alone. But to anyone who has paid attention to the Libertarian Party and what has happened to them and all the BS going on, after what happened last week, we can't start our own party, okay? Because any party that is associated specifically or directly with Trump or Trump supporters or former Trump supporters or former aides or part of the Trump family or any of that kind of stuff is going to get completely depersoned if we try to start it. Okay, you saw what happened to Parler over the weekend. You saw what happened to Trump last week with Twitter, all of it. Okay, if we try to start a new movement, a new party, it will get shut down before we ever even get a chance to launch it off the ground. Look what happened to the Walkaway campaign. A bunch of gay, trans, LGBTQ plus XYZ plus supporters, they shut them down just because they're conservative. And that wasn't even a political party. It was a campaign. It was people just trying to go out there and go, hey, I'm not doing this Democratic Party thing anymore. You don't represent me anymore. Look what happened to them. So yes, stay in the Republican Party. But we don't stay quietly. Okay? We get loud. We get loud. We holler. We get loud. We start hollering. We primary every one of these rhinos. Every one of them. You know, I thought the litmus test was going to be who voted on Wednesday as far as for and against certifying the election. And that list is still good. You can still use that list. If any one of your representatives in your state tries to claim they're a Republican and then certified that election, out, done, primary them, okay? They are gone. It is over. They have no standing. If they weren't at least willing to admit that there needed to be an investigation done and that something did not smell right, primary them. They're gone. Bye. For your local politicians on the state level, people who might have kept their head down during the election, people who didn't say anything about what was going on, I came up with a new litmus test this morning. I got an email from the Texas Gun Rights Association, and I think it was the Texas Gun Rights Association. It's one of the Texas Gun Rights Associations, if it's not that specific one. Anyway, I got an email this morning. One of our representatives is introducing a bill, and let me see if I can find it. I think I put it on my Twitter, if I've still got my Twitter up. I don't think I do. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway. So they introduced a bill for a constitutional carry, which I haven't read the full bill yet. I don't know. I don't think the full bill has been introduced and released yet. But from what I saw from the, if it's anything like every other constitutional carry, it means you won't need a lesson or class to carry your firearm on you. Okay. Concerning these, say it with me, unprecedented times that we currently live in, I don't think being able to protect yourself is too hard of a stretch of something to agree with. Being able to protect yourself, your Second Amendment, constitutionally and godly guaranteed rights, okay, because rights don't come from government or man, they come from God. If that's not something you can sign on with in Texas, that's a problem. Okay, this is Texas. If you have a Republican who goes, I don't know how I feel about constitutional carry, done. Conversation's over. Primary him. He's gone. Okay, it's as simple as that. So in Texas, that's going to be our litmus test, or at least that's going to be my litmus test for anybody that I want to support. And I hope that's a simple enough litmus test for the rest of you, and that you can agree with it, because that's what we have to do. We have to primary these people. Every single one of them. If they're a rhino, get them out. They have to be gone. I've just given you a simple litmus test for it. Do you support constitutional carry or not? Yes or no? If they go, what? Or no, yes or no? It's a simple question. Do you want citizens of the United States and citizens of the great state of Texas to be able to defend themselves against people that are out there? Simple question. Easy enough. Yes or no? Okay? No? Out. Gone. Primary them. And then move on. And if for some reason primarying them doesn't work, well, that's where the next rule comes into play. Treat the Republican Party how it deserves. How it deserves to be treated. It's pretty simple. The Republican Party has shit on us and pissed on us and then tried to feed it to us as a 5-course meal, claiming it's a 5-star restaurant. They're as bad as the Democrats when it comes to only caring about minorities. Except for the Republican Party, only cares about their base when it's an election time. So we're going to have to remind them that we are not an easy vote, that we are not an automatic, oh, go and check the R, vote. Those days are over. And I made the mistake this time, and I voted straight Republican ticket, and I screwed up. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I sure as hope the rest of you all agree, I won't be doing it again. Not unless you earn it. Every single one of them down the road. I will not be voting a straight Republican ticket ever again. I'm just not going to. I'm just going to put that out there now. Okay? Now, if every single one of those Republicans is good to me, and I like every single one of them, hell yeah, bet I'll vote for every one of them. But you are not getting just a straight Republican Party vote ticket out of me anymore. Not going to happen. I am not just going to pull that lever for you. I don't care if the communists are literally 5 blocks down my street. If you're on my TV and you've screwed me over a million times, but now you want to tell me that you're going to fight those communists that are coming down my street or those Marxists coming down my street, guess what I'm going to tell you? Eat it. I'll do it myself. Because you don't deserve my vote. You don't deserve my money. You don't deserve my time. You don't deserve my attention. I will handle this myself. And there's the other thing about it. The answer is us. That goes back to the answer is us. Okay? Be self-reliant enough to when they try to scare you again and say that if we don't vote for all these Republicans, that the whole world's over, that the Marxists are going to come take us all away, then guess what? This time, you can tell them to go F themselves. Go shove it where the sun doesn't shine, because I have my own armaments. I have my own resources. I don't need your system. I am voluntarily participating in it. We are a constitutional republic. It means we participate at our behest, not yours. You don't want to offer us good candidates? You don't want to offer us good policy? You don't want to make the other side lose? You don't want to actually gain some ground for our side and get some policies passed through that we agree with? Guess what? Eat my shorts, as the famous Bart Simpson says. Eat my shorts. I will handle it on my own when they come to my door. I don't need you. Vote third party. Hell, vote for the Democrat. I don't care. But do not vote for a Republican who has not earned your vote. Stop voting for rhinos. I'm not going to do it, and you sure as hell shouldn't be doing it either. Make that party earn our vote again. Okay? Make them remember why, to quote one of my favorite movies, except we're spinning it around on them, remind them why they need us. Because they don't win elections without us. They don't get campaign donations, and they don't get their old ragged behinds sitting in those cushy seats in Congress by ignoring us. We're not doing it anymore. I don't care if you vote Libertarian. I don't care if you vote Green Party. I don't care if you vote for the Communist Party. So yeah, go ahead, DSA. I'm telling you right now, just don't vote for the establishment. Yeah, my call to those guys, that's a whole nother conversation we're going to have. But stop voting for these damn rhinos. Purge the party. I would rather lose the next 3 major election cycles and clean the fleece, or clean the damn flock, thin out the herd of all these damn rhinos than ever win another election again. When I was in high school, I got involved with the Freemasons. One of my bosses was a Freemason, and I wanted to join. And I went and I did my first degree stuff. And him and I were having a conversation because the Masonic Lodge of the state of Missouri had decided to change their rules to where you only had to do certain things in order to get in. And that had been reduced from what had happened before. What the requirements were before. Those requirements had been reduced to make it easier for people to get in. And my sponsor, my lodge brother, he went before, because he don't have any problem he has no problem speaking up when he thinks he's right. And he went before our board, and he went before many other Freemasons, many other Masonic brothers. And he told them flat out, if we're going to die as an organization, shouldn't we at least go down with some damn dignity? So maybe the time has come. Maybe it's the time for the end of America. Maybe it's time for the end of our Western way of life. Maybe our culture has gone too far. Maybe we can't come back from this. But if we're all screwed and we're all going to hell anyway for all of this and for what's about to happen or for what might be about to happen, let's at least go down with some damn dignity. Go down with your head up high. With your head held up high. Let's go out as a moral and justice and righteous people. And maybe, just maybe if we're lucky, and if we're good enough, and we're moral enough, and we're on God's side, not our own, if we're on God's side, maybe, just maybe we'll get lucky and we'll make it through this. But we have to fix ourselves first. The time for moral relativism is over. So let's go back to this list real quick. Tactics. Check our motivations. No more voting for rhinos. Do not sacrifice your morality for this BS. Do not sacrifice your morality and your personal beliefs for what scares you from someone else. Refuse to be silent. Speak up. Speak out. No more silent majority. No more, I can't talk about politics and religion in polite company. Screw that shit. Tell everybody you're a Christian. Tell everybody you're a Republican. Tell everybody who you voted for. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Business duty called. All right, so let's go over this real quick again. Tactics. Check your motivations. Refuse to be silent. I think we already went over that one. Follow God, not man. Pick up a damn Bible and read the damn thing, please. The answer is us. And that's what we've been going over this entire time. We are the only ones that are going to fix this. There is no hero coming. There is no cavalry coming. There is no great champion coming for us. We are going to have to find one, and if we can't find one, we're going to have to raise one. So, work on yourself. Fix us first. Let's go fix the rest of the world then. Stay in the Republican Party. Primary. Litmus tests. Find a litmus test you feel comfortable with and primary anybody who doesn't pass it. Texas, my litmus test is the constitutional carry. All right? Treat the Republican Party how it deserves to be treated. Okay? They have done this to us. They have done this to ourselves. They have not earned our loyalty. Okay? They don't deserve it. So if they give us some garbage candidate, don't vote for them. Make them suffer. Make them understand why they need us.